Hey everybody, thanks again for tuning in. Welcome to the channel. In my last video, I mentioned that I was going to be doing a series of very short videos, basically to show you how much work you could actually get done in a short amount of time, for about 15 minutes. People think that you need to spend hours and hours in the gym to gain anything from this sport, and it's not true. Bodybuilding, and I'm using a general term because everything is bodybuilding, whether you're doing push-ups or chin-ups or lifting weights. It's a sprint. It's not a marathon. It's not about how much you can do. It's about how little you actually need. So I was going to start that today, or with this particular video, but then I wanted to follow up on a subject that I touched upon in the last video, and that was the difference between the muscle magazines and this particular bodybuilding magazine, which is the old Iron Man magazine, which you could only get through subscription, or if you were lucky enough to belong to a gym which sold the magazine. I sold it when I had my gym back in the 70s. I carried about 24 issues, and they were generally sold out within a couple of days, and I kept a copy for myself, of course. So now, again, the muscle magazines, the problem that I have with them, and they don't exist anymore, was the over commercialization and the over glorification of the bodybuilding competitions and physique stars. They basically created the physique star, and they influenced a lot of young men in the direction of physique competition, which would generally lead to steroid usage. So the old muscle magazines were definitely a factor in steroids coming on the scene with their fantastic routines and propaganda and commercialization. 14 to 17, 18-year-olds are very impressionable. And of course, once they found out that, yeah, you know what, I can build a really, really good body without the drugs, but if I want to compete with the big boys, I'm going to have to use drugs. And unfortunately, the big boys were the ones that were featured in the muscle magazines. You would see Arnold Schwarzenegger with a can of protein powder, and you'd think that that's what he used, which of course he didn't. But you thought that he did, and you went and spent your money on all those supplements. Now, to be sure, supplements are worthwhile, and they do help to a point, but that's not how you get to look like that. Anyway, Perry Rader, who was the publisher of the old Iron Man magazines, he passed away a long time ago. He started Iron Man back in 1936. He was Midwestern Olympic heavyweight weightlifting champion back in the 1930s. The magazine had a decidedly different editorial policy. In addition to the body, he put a lot of emphasis on the spiritual and the mental aspects of the sport, the psychological aspects of it. And when drugs came on the scene, he was very, very much against it. He had an editorial policy which was very much anti-drug, even though he did publish the photographs of the top bodybuilders of the day, and he did report on physique competitions and that kind of thing. But the emphasis was on a general, all-around program and an all-around person. So if you knew how to write well, it was an open forum. If you were into bodybuilding, if you were into the sport at all, and you were articulate, he would publish your articles. So these articles were not ghostwritten as they were in the muscle magazines. You'd see an article by Arnold Schwarzenegger, how I built my arms, and no, it was not written by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it was not the routine he used. So, and again, as I said, the bodybuilding magazines would lead you to believe that these guys look like this all the time, and you can only maintain that kind of a condition for about 6 to 8 weeks at most. So guys would back in the day would be on these drugs maybe 3 or 4 months out of the year, and that would be it. Today they're on them all year round because of the money that they could make. Guys are making 6 and 7 figures from the sport, but they're going to take 6 and 7 years off their life. So it's what it is. They want to make the big bucks. They want to make it now while they can, while they're still young. And yeah, there's big money in the sport now for the top guys, but it's a wild goose chase for a lot of people. So, you know, be forewarned. It's not for everybody because a lot of it is so much more mental than it is physical, especially preparation for physique competition. It's a big strain on the emotions, believe me. Well, don't believe me. Go to YouTube, it's on there. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to share one of the articles with you today. I wanted to get into some of these articles down the road after, you know, I do this series of videos in the gym. But this one is very pertinent because of what's been going on in the news lately. And if you think things have changed over the last 50 years or so, they have not. I have an article here written by the late Arthur Jones. Arthur Jones, as I mentioned, was the inventor of the Nautilus machines, which are quite popular. And Arthur Jones is actually the person who, the quote, "It's not about how much exercise you can do, it's about how little you actually need." Arthur Jones was the guy who said that. And he was right. You don't need to spend all day in the gym. Bodybuilding is a sprint. It's not a marathon. Sprinters are more muscular than marathon runners. Just take a look at the leg muscles on a sprinter compared to a marathon runner. You know, look at the whole body in general. The sprinter is more muscular overall than the marathon runner. In fact, most marathon runners, they don't look so good. In my opinion. But anyway, and I think marathon running actually is detrimental. It's not what it's cracked up to be. But I don't want to get into that right now and open up a can of worms. In fact, I just want to say that the body runs on energy. Energy is finite. All you're doing is you're engaging in a fight or flight activity. Our ancestors only ran towards their food or away from danger. They walked, they didn't run. So, as I said, running is part of the fight or flight syndrome. It's not supposed to be for recreational exercise. People do it, they enjoy it, God bless you. Now, I wanted to read you this article by Arthur Jones, which was written back in March of 1972. And I'm doing this because of what's going on now. So, voting for politicians that tell you what you want to hear has all but destroyed civilization. Giving in to outrage in the hope of avoiding trouble has all but destroyed freedom. And looking for the easy road to success in anything, including bodybuilding, has all but destroyed the actually great potential value of weight training, which perpetuates the politicians, pleases the perpetrators of outrages, and pads the pockets of a pack of predators in the field of bodybuilding. And now I'm going to set all of this to rights, right? Sorry, I'm afraid not. In my carefully considered opinion, I don't think things can be set to right. I think we are very near the end of civilization or the beginning of a new never-ending dark age. Some few people are aware of the problems and even see the obvious solutions, but far too many other people have been led much too far down the primrose path of false promises, which quite frankly to me is quite amusing. I think most people deserve just what they are getting and are about to get. And believe me, they will get it in the neck. For me, as an individual, my time is almost gone, and I do not regret its passing. And he goes on with that, and he says, in the fields of greatest importance to most people, politics, sociology, and the environmental sciences, I can do nothing to help anybody, not even myself, and I am fully convinced that the people who might be able to do something in these areas won't, in fact, do anything of any slightest value to anybody, not even themselves. So, anyway, that's just to give you some idea of how provocative some of the articles are in the magazine. Like I mentioned in the last video, muscle magazines were written for 14-year-olds who want to be bodybuilders, whereas Iron Man was written for grown men who knew how to think for themselves and who just happened to be bodybuilders. Also, the black and white format, he kept that for the entire duration of the publication of the magazine. There's something, as I said, quite charming about black and white photography as compared to color photography. And also, Perry Rader was the only publisher of bodybuilding magazines that actually gave women their proper due. There was a lot of coverage on women's powerlifting, bodybuilding, weightlifting, etc. So yeah, just to give you an idea of some of that. Okay, so you'll see women's powerlifting championships, women's national powerlifting championships. You see that? Yeah. So he gave a lot of play to the women, weight trained women. So for you ladies out there, I bookmarked some stuff in these magazines, which I think not only are pertinent to everybody, but especially to the ladies. Don't worry, you're not going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger when you get done with this. So, all right, I just wanted to share some of that with you guys. Stay tuned. The following several videos will be in the gym. I'll be doing some of those 15, 20-minute workouts so you can see how much work you could actually get done in such a short amount of time. Again, bodybuilding and chin-ups and push-ups and all that is considered bodybuilding. Anytime you use your body, anytime you want to make changes to get stronger, it's all bodybuilding. And you'd be surprised how much work you could get done in 15 minutes. So we'll be showing you some of that, hopefully starting with the next video. So in the meantime, if you haven't subscribed, if you like this kind of content, hit that subscribe button, tell your friends, and we'll see you in the next video. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and be well. Adios.